What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content with your boy Chris Kane. Let's talk about the Dolphins. We are less than a week away from the season, so now we're actually putting out depth charts from the team. 'Cause up to now, we've kind of assumed some people will play. We know Tyreek and Jalen are wide receiver 1 and 2. We know two is a start, and we know who the O line is for the most part. We weren't super sure about the secondary though, so the team decided to put it out. So Storm Duck will be starting at one corner. Jack Jones will be starting at a second corner. Obviously, Minka Fitzpatrick will be free safety, and Ashton Davis will get the start at the other safety. Now I know some of y'all thinking the same thing. Where's Rasul Douglas? He's second string or second man off the bench, however you want to call it. He apparently, when he got the job from the Dolphins, was not promised a starting position. Now, that may mean that he just doesn't know the playbook yet, and so we can't make him the starter because he doesn't know all the plays. I fully expect him to be the starter soon. Game 3, 4, 5, he will be starting. I don't believe Jack Jones is better than Rasul is. I don't think they're like super far apart, but we went and made a move to bring him in to be the starter. We would have just got another cast off corner if you just wanted someone else on the roster. But day one, he will not be starting. I'm curious to see if he plays in the nickel because we did not list a nickel corner. Now, Rasul Douglas is not a nickel corner by trade, but they just want to get him on the field. They could do that. I assume Jason Marshall Jr. will be the starting nickel corner, but we have not announced that. I'm not exactly sure why, because Jason has been starting. He played well, and we cut Mike Hilton. So it's like we cut the guy that was supposed to have the job. The young guy took it over, started the job, played well, but we haven't named him the starter exactly. I don't know if that means that someone like Ethan Bonner could be slid down. I've seen some reports that Ifeitu could be moved from safety down a nickel corner because he played corner in college. So maybe they think he's a better overall player to have on the field. But we haven't been playing him in the slot, which doesn't make sense to just say, hey, play strong safety. That didn't work out. Cool. Jump to slot corner during the year. That that doesn't feel like the right way to go about it. I mean, again, he would be good or better at the position. I don't know, but it would just be a weird turn where you were basically safety number three and starting slot corner one, and you got both jobs on lock when you haven't really played one. I don't know. The question is this secondary good enough? That's been the question. No doubt whatsoever, Mika Fitzpatrick, stud. We know that. Everyone else, we don't know. I mean, Storm Duck is really emerged to be like a pretty solid corner. I think no matter who we brought in, unless we brought in like two like A1 corners, Storm seemed like he was going to start no matter what. He just kind of held on to the job. Did he fly off the page? Was he generational corner? No. He just seems pretty solid. Jack Jones, we know the Detroit incident. We're gonna talk about it like like it's the Shibuya incident. Shout out to those who know what that means. But yeah, Jack Jones, we know what happened in Detroit. But I guess overall, he's just been better than the other corners. He has more experience. I think his upside is tremendous. Super athletic at corner. Is very instinctual. Can be susceptible to double moves, but he earned his job, and I think he will be in that position until Rasul Douglas claims it. But that may be a few weeks away. I mean, Rasul just got here. I don't know how deep our defensive playbook is, but he would need to know all the permutations of the defense before we can put him out there and say you be the main guy. Jack's been there longer. He knows the plays better. So I do think Rasul will play. I just think he won't start. And again, barring injury, because always barring injury, he will come in at the appropriate time and not just be forced in the action, which we don't want to see. But I am curious about the defense. I think the secondary, to me, this is a solid unit. This is not a top 10, top 5 unit. I'm not, even as the biggest homer in the world, we're not doing that. But I don't see this lineup and think, boy, we can't stop nobody. Ashton Davis is starting in this league. He started in the AFC East. We know what Minka is. We've seen Jack Jones start as much as last year. Storm is a great unknown, but he seems to be the most consistent at corner at this point. I think these guys can hold it down in the secondary. Are they going to be game breakers? Who knows? Can they hold it down? I think so. And honestly, at this point, that's all we need. Now, y'all know all off season, I've been telling y'all I was 10 toes down on Quinn Ewers, anti Zach Wilson. I thought Quinn would take over the backup job before the year started. His first preseason game was an Absolute disaster. I had to come on in here and roast him because I got to be consistent. Even if I have an opinion, I can be proven wrong. It happens all the time. Now I'd be right a lot, but I was wrong about him. So I thought his last couple games he played very well. I didn't think Zach lit the world on fire. So I thought maybe it's a possibility Quinn takes the job. Nope. Zach Wilson's the backup quarterback. Now, some of that may just be he's a little bit more senior. Some of that may be he's getting paid more. Some of that may be we just have more contractual ties to Quinn. And so we can afford to not throw him in the lineup and not like lose him. If we don't play Zach this year, we just lose him for nothing. So there may be some, I want to get some bang for my buck kind of thing. Who knows? I think he played more consistently good, but I don't think he played tremendously better than Quinn did outside of that first game. So I don't know, like maybe he has a better command of the offense. He might know how to audible better. He's definitely been a quarterback in NFL longer, so there's some experience factor there. Y'all just know in general, not a believer. And I hope we don't ever have to see Zach Wilson play or Quinn Ewers for that matter. This year, if I see them play, I wanted to be with Tua on the sideline smoking a cigar. I want Tyreek to have his jersey off, throwing it to the fans, like waving at his baby mom, doing like this, doing that kind of stuff. I want them to be up by 25 points with a minute left. And so now we got Quinn Ewers or Zach Wilson in the game, just handing the ball off. That's what I would like to see. If they're playing meaningful minutes, that means that something went wrong. So ideally, we wouldn't see either one of these guys for real. But we are Dolphins fans and we are aware stuff happens and we need to be ready for that. Because Zach's been in the league, I gotta imagine his command is better. His talent is better for sure. I mean, Zach Wilson's upside is he's not. I think he was like being compared to how he throws the ball and athleticism, whatever, to an Aaron Rodgers type. Obviously, it's not Aaron Rodgers. Let's not be ridiculous. But just the idea that he can just whip the ball and he can generate force from the ground and all that good stuff. That's how they were trying to compare. I mean, he was a top 30 pick for God's sakes. So obviously, some scouts thought he could be the dude. I wasn't one of them, but he's won the job. Congratulations to Zach. This is probably in the betterment of the team. Now, just because he's the backup now doesn't mean it has to stay this way all year. They might go through the course of the year and Quinn just at some point it's just better in practice, more consistent, and takes the job. But for right now, I was wrong. Hard to admit it. I thought Quinn had my back. I was hyping you. I was gassing up Quinn. And I'm not even like the biggest Quinn Ewers fan. I was just not a Zach Wilson guy. And so Zach got the job. Congratulations, Zach. We can move on. Former Dolphins quarterback Dante Culpepper decided to share some thoughts on Tua. And before we get started, I know people feel a way about Dante Culpepper generally in the league. For those of you who watch the channel for a certain amount of time, you know that I am a UCF alum, and Dante Culpepper is a proud UCF alum as well. There will be no Dante Culpepper slander on this channel, not as long as I'm doing what I'm doing right now. So when I saw that he had comments about Tua, I was like, I pray Dante didn't say something that makes me have to, you know, he didn't really mean it like that. And I got to try to defend his case. And I'm going back and forth because I'm going to be biased both ways. What do you think I'm going to do? That's big UCF over there, baby. Like, I can't. He's one of the guys that put us on the map. Him, Asante Samuel. People forgot Asante went to UCF. There's a number of guys that really like did that for us. Brandon Marshall. Don't get me started. There's a handful of guys that are in the lexicon of UCF football and just like big for the program. Dante is at the forefront of that. We're not going to do that here. Fortunately, Dante was complimentary of Tua and he had a lot of nice things to say. Here's what he said. The bottom line is the quarterback, and Tua is definitely a quarterback that could get them to the playoffs and get wins in the playoffs. That's the goal. They got to keep him off the ground and get the ball in the hands of Tyreek Hill and Devon Achane and the guys who make plays. Dot, dot, dot. But I like to think Tua is a great quarterback, and they've got to get in the playoffs this year, or they could be looking in another direction. I didn't take that last part to be really a shot at Tua. I thought that was actually a fairly objective perspective. He said all the right things. I think Tua can get him there. I think Tua can win. They got to keep him healthy, get the ball to the playmakers. Tua's main job on the team, because people have this thing about quarterback tiers. And we know who the top one tier is, and we know how it goes down. People think of tier one people as like carrying your team to success. Like, can you imagine Buffalo without Josh Allen? Like, Baltimore without Lamar, Chiefs without Mahomes. We get it. They put the team on their back sometimes and just drag them to victories. That isn't what we asked Tua to do. Tua is a glorified point guard on the football field. And if he does what his job is, he gets the ball out to the people, and then they do their job. We don't need Tua to be running backwards, throwing off his back foot. That isn't what he's asked to do. And when our offense works well, he doesn't have to. He just does his job. It's boom, 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 boom. It's pinpoint accurate. It's annoying to the defense because they'll be playing good coverage and the ball will be there before they can break on it. It's awesome. And I think if you keep Tua upright, we have all the talent in the world. We've built our team honestly from the outside in, which I think is probably in retrospect the wrong way to build a team because then you're not good in the trenches. But neither here nor there. That's looking at you, Cincinnati, as well. But the way we built the team is let's make Tua's job as easy as possible. Can you imagine if Tua had slow receivers that couldn't get off coverage and he had to just hold the ball in the pocket, patting the rock, waiting for our line to block for 3 seconds to make throws consistently? He would get killed. And we don't want that. So I think he's the right guy for the job as well, obviously. But I do think if we don't make the playoffs this year and he plays all the games, I mean, it's a scenario where he doesn't play the games and, that's leads to him being out of the team anyway. If Tua plays all the games and we don't make the playoffs, then I don't know how they bring him back next year. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? The idea is that the last time he played the full season, he led the league in passing. We went to the playoffs and lost to the eventual champs. Okay, boo-hoo. We just had a bad draw. Totally cool. No, literally nobody beat them in the playoffs that year, so we're fine. But if he plays the whole year and we're a 7-8 wins team and he played the whole year, Tyreek and Waddle playing, then it's like, how could we say, oh man, can't wait to bring that guy back next year? Like, how does that work? How do you sell that to the fan base? Because the one thing people are saying is, can he play the whole season? So if he proves he can play the whole season 2 of the last 3 years, which is more than a lot of quarterbacks. People think all these quarterbacks are healthy. A lot of them miss a game or two or get knocked out of games, and most of them don't play the full season. But if he does, like Jalen Hurts didn't play the whole season last year. He missed 2 games, but then he won a Super Bowl, so nobody remembers that he missed games. That's just how it is. Like, guys don't play the whole season a lot of times. Anyway, if Tua plays the whole year and the team is healthy and they don't win, you can't sell to the fan base. You can sell that, hey, Tua's healthy. 2 out of 3 years, he's been pretty healthy, so let's, knock on wood again. But we got to win. You got slow-mo wins at some point. So I think what he said is fair. Again, no Dante slander on this channel will be tolerated. So for those of you who want to say, oh, we spent money, he's a bust, not here. Save that for your office, not on Dolphins Daily. Finally, we're going to get into it's a coaching critique, but I think it's a valid one. Up to this point, this whole offseason has been about coach not having institutional control, people not respecting him, all that stuff. That's all off the field stuff. Doesn't mean it doesn't matter because off the field stuff has a way of trickling into the field. We all get that, right? But on the field, there are a number of things that coach does that I think has not put the team in the best position. I'm going to start one place that I feel we should be doing before I get into the parts of this topic I've actually prepared for this. I don't think the Dolphins are aggressive enough given our personnel and given our coach. I think we play as if we're always scared. Like we're like, oh, should we go for it? Like, I think 4th and 3 or less, if you're a good team, is basically a 50-50 go for it at this point. And I know that sounds crazy, but remember when the Chargers did that a few years back with young coach? Don't remember his name. He ended up being a DC afterwards. But they were going for a lot of 4th downs. And some didn't work out, but a lot of them did. And they didn't make the playoffs because they tried that heroicness with the Raiders at the end of the season. That was a whole situation. They made the playoffs, the Raiders didn't, or vice versa. I don't remember how that game ended. Anyway, people say they're too aggressive. But that aggressiveness, I think, put them in a lot of good positions. You flip it to a team like Detroit. It's ultra aggressive. The most aggressive team. And they had a great offensive line, great running backs, great quarterback. And they still were like, hey, our defense has injuries. We're going to go for it. The Commanders were very aggressive last year. They just went for it. I think there's something to putting that trust in your offense because, again, if coach's main objective and his whole, legacy up to this point is that he's an offensive genius, he's a great offensive mind. It's 4th and 2, and it's like, nah, let's just punt it. Like I think too many times we said, "Hey, we don't have any momentum going right now. Our defense is being pushed around the field. If we keep this drive going, we can give them a rest. We can probably put some points on the board." And yeah, if we don't get it, we could put them in a bad position. But they've already been in a bad position all game because we're not moving the ball, and we're not scoring. I think we should be more aggressive, and that will backfire at some points. But I think we have enough talent that if you think we can't get 10 yards on 4 plays a few times in the game, I just don't love it. I think we settle for a lot of field goals. Like actually a big fan of inside the 10 yard line going for it on fourth down. I know the analytics sometimes say kick the field goal, don't kick the field goal. If you have a great offense, you got to think in 4 plays we can get 10 yards. And if we don't, I gotta trust my defense enough to get me the ball back in plus territory. Like, don't give up more than 2 first downs. I gotta believe that my defense, with them backed up with our pass rush, I gotta believe, hey, we're not letting them off the goal line. So yeah, we didn't get the guaranteed 3, but we had a chance to get 7. Like I think that balances out at the end of the year. Anyway, that's not what coach needs to fix. I think from a Giant perspective, that's my personal take. I just think we should be more aggressive. Coach has not been particularly great with game management. His challenges have been abysmal. He's only won 4 challenges in his entire coaching career. Four. Four. That doesn't even make any sense. He's been a coach for 4 years. It doesn't make sense that he's only won 4 challenges. And every time he misses a challenge, we lose a timeout. It kills momentum. And so many of our games come down to the end of the game where clock management is a big deal. When you don't have timeouts, you can't manage the clock well generally. I don't understand why the challenges have been so bad. I believe the number is 4 of 16 or 4 of 19. It's an unholy number of missed challenges. Then now some of that could be the guys upstairs because they get to see the replay from their little monitor and maybe they're saying, "Yeah, go for it, coach." Or if he's just gutting it, like, "No, I think that was a catch," and he's just throwing it out there. I don't know. It's almost impossible to be that bad at challenging plays and challenging things on the field, but it always puts us in a bad position every time it happens. And it's like maybe let some things go or get a little bit more clarity before you throw that flag out because you can't be the worst challenger in the league on a team that loses by margins. This is why special teams was such a big deal this offseason because how many games did we lose off field position? It just is off missed opportunities here and there. It's just like little things can swing the game. When you burn a timeout 2 minutes into the third quarter on a challenge, now you look late in the fourth quarter. Oh, we got one timeout left, down 4. Well, if we don't stop them on this 1st and 10 play, then the clock runs out. Like it's just you can't manage it well when you don't give yourself all the tools. If you look at like teams like the Patriots over the last 20 years, look at how many times late in the game they had 3 timeouts. I implore you this year when you're not watching Dolphin games, when you watch teams that are winning consistently, watch late in the games how often they have 2 and 3 timeouts. And teams that are losing, watch how often they have 0 or 1. Somehow, always burning timeouts. In addition to that, or I guess adding to that, the number of pre-snap penalties and burn timeouts the Dolphins have had over the last couple of years because plays weren't getting in fast enough is absolutely infuriating. The number of times I hear, "Okay, to the line, burn it." And I'm like, bro, it is the first quarter. How are we not getting plays in? Aren't the first 15 scripted? Run the play. I know they have long titles and like Whiskey Tango, Tennessee on 3, mush concept. I get all of it. Plays are not getting in fast enough, and we're always up against the clock. And I'm always like, dude, that's how I say that so many times during Dolphin games. Like, dude, get the play off, get the play off. And there's so much motion that we don't start the play by like the 12, 14-second mark. We're not going to be able to do all the motion the play necessitates, right? Sometimes the motion is to see one side of the field, that person resets. Then there's a secondary motion. You can't do both motions if you don't have time. And there's so many times that we don't have time. And so what you have is 2 guys moving at the same time. Guess what? Illegal motion, 5-yard penalty, back it up. The number of times people have jumped off sides from O-line to receivers, just not set, just jittery at the line, trying to get a big jump, 5-yard penalty, back it up. Now you're 1st and 15, 2nd and 13. And now you can't run the ball because you don't feel like you're going to get more than 2 yards in that carry. And you don't want to be third and 11 because that's an obvious passing situation, which puts the offensive line in a bad place. That puts two in a bad place. And now here we go again. Now it's like, well, might as well throw a tunnel screen and hopefully break 7 tackles to get a first down. And then guess what? 3 and out, punt, defense back on the field. Fans are booing. And it's like, what happened? Well, I don't know. Our tackle jumped off sides, followed by a slot receiver jumping off sides. Also, Tua burned a timeout because he couldn't get the play in fast enough. Like that is game management. This is actually like Andy Reid's biggest Achilles heel when he was in Philadelphia. People say Andy Reid was the worst at managing games. I don't even think Andy Reid's gotten amazing at managing games. I think Patrick Mahomes is really good at managing games. And he just says, you go, Pat." I hope because Tua's gotten more leash this year to kind of do what he wants. I hope that he's better at managing games because it does seem like when it falls on coach, it gets a little frantic. I'm not sure if he's trying to get the perfect play in every time, and so he's saying a lot of words, or if he's trying to add little coaching tidbits like this is the play, blah blah blah. Hey, remember this is your hot read, and like you can add more things. They have up to I think 15 seconds in the headset before they cuts it off. So if he's trying to bleed the whole amount to say all his stuff versus here's the play, go, then I can see how sometimes things get a little discombobulated. But it's been a consistent theme of pre-snap penalties, of guys not knowing what they are, Tua grabbing guys and saying, "No, get to that side of the field." Like, "Oh, sorry about that," and it's just, and part of that is because there's a ton of motion in the team. When you have that much motion, it's a lot to remember. I get it. It's part of our scheme. We run more motion than anybody else, which means that we need more time to do all that stuff. But a lot of times it doesn't get done properly. And if you're burning timeouts and missed challenges and burning timeouts or pre-snap penalties, then you're not managing the game well. So when the game's on the line and you have one timeout left and you're like, "Hey, I wish we could stop the clock 3 times." Yes, we all wish you could. But you got to manage the game first. So I am calling on coach to lock in on game management. I know it's something that I don't know if you can get like coached up on it. That's a weird way to say it. I think you just get better or you just never do. But by being in more situations, I think you get more situational awareness. I think that's how that works. And sometimes you just, coaches grow the way players do. Sometimes you're like, you know what? And normally I would challenge this call. I'll let it rock. Our defense got it. Or, hey, I trust Tua to get the play in on time. Let's not burn the timeout yet. I don't know. We'll see. But as always, thank you for tuning in to Dolphins Daily. We appreciate the love and support. Thank y'all for the likes and the subscribes. We're almost at 2K subscribers. So if you're on the fence about subbing, let's just sub. I think we're 100 subs away from getting to 2K. So let's get them 100 subs in before the year. Fingers crossed. Tell your friends and family. I want to get that 2K by Sunday. Let's make it happen. We'll see you next time on Dolphins Daily. Peace.